we are live. Oh, no, gotta hide the guests. There we go. All right. Jeremy Knight with the Knight Group, your favorite Austin realtor, and I have some amazing guests as well. Let me fix that a little bit. Green screen doesn't look great, but we're good. All right, thanks for joining me tonight. I do have some amazing guests on, and I'm very excited to bring them on. You know me. I like to bring fun people on that know what's going on, so they're here. It has been a crazy beginning of the year. And the wonderful people that'll be on here in a moment will also attest to that. It has been crazy in this market, and I feel bad trying to recently talking to clients and letting them know, or potential clients letting them know what this market is and kind of being harsh about it. So if you call me, I apologize for being a little harsh, but unfortunately, this market is not very friendly, and it's definitely stressing a lot of people out. One other note on that. A lot of you reach out to me personally, send me emails or calls. I would just ask that during the day, my full-time job is real estate. So I would appreciate it if you just not called me. I'll be in meetings with clients. It's kind of rude to answer a phone. So if you could shoot me a text message or email me, please email me first. That would be preferred. The other thing is I have a lot of people that reach out to me and just ask me questions about neighborhoods. That's fantastic. Please do that on the channel. If you're emailing me just information about a specific neighborhood, it can get hard to answer those questions. So if you're asking the channel, it's easier for me when I have time blocked off to do that. So I just appreciate that moving forward. It's like I said, it's a crazy market. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And those people that do reach out to me, thank you very much. Thank you for thinking about us. Okay, that's enough of me. Let's join. I have a ragtag group of people tonight. Here we go. We're going to add Ian on. There we go. So I have Ian of Austin back as always, one of my favorite guests. I have Kevin Knight. I'll have you all muted. Hold on. Jeremy being all mean like that. There we go. Kevin Knight, who's a fantastic agent. He's new to the channel today. Fantastic agent. Does an amazing job. Love that guy to death. And then Sarah Morris. If any of you know me or emailed me, you have heard me say, talk to Sarah Morris. Sarah Morris is probably one of the top lenders in Austin. And I felt it was time to bring on a really good, solid lender so you could hear from on the lending side what the heck is going on. These two guys could probably attest that having a good local lender is super important. And Sarah is the one that is our go-to. So hello, Sarah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Kevin, how's the market, man?
Right now, honestly, all the buyers that I'm working with, especially in the last, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, this has gone from an insane seller's market to absolutely rabid bloodbath. So, I mean, if you're coming to the market now, if you've been shopping for a while, it's not the same as it was. I mean, we're looking at houses that have gone under contract in November and December for significantly lower prices than what we're having to come with now. So I think the mindset of coming into this, that you're going to have to do a little bit more than you expected if you've been shopping for a bit. So I just be prepared for that. It's crazy out here. It's absolutely insane.
Ian, what about you, man? You've been hustling the last couple of weeks. What's it like for you right now?
I would say we're living in sort of like a lucid dream, and it taken in the wrong perspective, it feels like a nightmare, right? For the people that are not prepared or not aware of what the market is today, it's kind of intense. So you have to be ready to play ball, geared up.
And that's especially what this conversation tonight is going to be about, is really making sure you're prepared. I'm seeing buyers kind of make some mistakes, sellers make mistakes, investors make mistakes in this market. So we're going to talk about kind of those mistakes and how to not make those mistakes. Potentially help you say, we are in such a crazy market that things are happening so fast, but hopefully we can save you some money on this conversation. Speaking of saving money, the money person, Sarah, what are you seeing in this crazy market?
Yeah, so I'm seeing that a lot of people are having to come in. It's not like it was a year or two ago. So a lot of people are having to come in with extra money so they can offer above asking. Before, when people could come in and put minimum down payment on conventional loan with great credit, that's an excellent client, and they still are. But now I have to prepare people, the purchase prices are higher. They need to have those additional assets to ask above asking, or to offer above asking. And, that's hard for some folks, but I try to have that conversation with them on the front end to try to help y'all. And also, so I don't want to be a dream killer. I want to help prepare people so they're in the best position. So when they meet with you, or any realtor or agent they're working with, they have their expectations in check. So they know what is going on when they're putting an offer in on that home once they find it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the biggest part, there's two important parts to this whole thing, right? Having a good agent, but the biggest part's having a good lender and having all your stuff together. So I just wanted to pat myself on the back and say, Suzanne, thank you. First time to the channel. Thanks. Great info. Appreciate you. Sorry, just little pats on the back real quick. My first live. Thanks, Carlos. We hope to give you some good insight. Sorry, guys, I just had to blow up. My head wasn't big enough for this, so I just want to get a little bit bigger real quick. This market is friendly to sellers. Very, very freaking true. That's, we're going to talk about some things sellers are doing wrong. So there you go. And I am a fan, hello, of Ian. There you go. Carolyn, do you know Ian?
Hi, thank you.
Awesome. So tonight it's Tuesday, so it's a bourbon night, like Taco Tuesday. So if I get saucy towards the end, I apologize. And then Adi Rowe, what's up, brother? Thank you so much. For our audio issues.
Adi.
Sarah recognizes that name. All right. There you go. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's get questions out of here. So we're gonna chat a little bit about financing first. So we're gonna have Sarah jump in on some things. So if you have finance questions, or start dropping those in the comments. But let's go. So guys, what are we seeing, guys and gals? What are we seeing when it comes to financing and some of these buyers? What are they running into?
So can I touch on something that you said, Sarah?
Yeah.
You said you don't want to be a dream killer. That is so important. I think there are a lot of people who are first-time buyers, and they have to compete with cash offers or strong financing. So can you talk about what that world is like right now? I want to say it's a little tough.
Yeah, no, it is tough. And that's why I think it's more important than ever to be connected with a lender. Of course, I would love everyone to work with me, but whatever lender that is, you need to make sure that they're in tune and in touch with the market that you're purchasing in. Because if they're not going to be able to help advise you or guide you with having proper expectations in the market and how to best set you up financing wise to be able to purchase in that market. So what I'm seeing is when I have borrowers come in, and if they have a price point that I know is below anything that I'm seeing in the market, like if I have someone come in and they want to buy a $250,000 home, and they're just unaware that that's not something in the Austin market that I've seen, that's not like a full gut job off market, purchase. And that's usually, which still you don't really see too often, at least not me in my world. So that's a conversation that I have with them, and I have them as kindly as possible without stepping on, my agent's toes, to make sure that we can see how can we get that price point up, how they can be more comfortable with a higher monthly payment, so I can help them be in the best position they can be to find a home in this market, especially if they want to purchase right now.
And you said something that's very, very important. And I think this is a good segue, is that, basically you said having them prepared for this market. I think one of the biggest mistakes buyers are making is not being fully prepared for this market, right? I get calls constantly from people, emails. I'm sure everyone on this is getting calls from people, and they hear that Austin's cheap, which is something we're going to talk about here. It's not, and then their expectations have to change. Kevin, what are some expectations that you're having to give some of your clients as far as getting them prepared for this market?
We've talked about some of them, is having a lender ready to go whenever you're searching for a house. I think too many times people wait till the last second. They think, I'm just going to wait to find a house, and then maybe I'll talk to the lender after that. all the work that you can do with your lender, and Sarah's can attest to this probably, all the work that you can do with your lender beforehand is super helpful. So even having the lender, if they can potentially look at all of your documents to make sure that you're financially ready to go when it comes down to it, so you're not delaying that process, makes a huge difference. And for some people, they think that they can afford one level of house, but when they search for this level, like let's say your budget's like $400,000, so you'd think you'd go look at $400,000 houses. Well, in this market, you definitely can't do that anymore. If your budget's $400,000 and you know you're constrained by monthly payments or cash down, you really need to be looking at houses between 300 and 350 at this point, because that's just how far over ask these houses are even going. And that's just to remain competitive. That doesn't even guarantee that you're going to get it. So that's my biggest thing that I see right now is just setting better expectations for the price point that you're looking at, knowing full well that a $500,000 house that's listed is not going to be a $500,000 house. Absolutely not. There's no chance.
No. And that's, I think, and Sarah, everybody can attest to this. I hear people say, oh, I want to buy a house under 300 or I want to buy a house under 400. There's no new build inventory, right? How many of you on this have found new build inventory? I mean, Ian's been finding it, but how easy is it to find new build?
Okay, Jeremy, we've talked about this. I have a dedicated assistant that calls all the builders every day to hopefully stumble upon something. And then as soon as I get something, I have her call me. And so today I wrote an offer for $287,000 in Georgetown. Unheard of right now. So I got it. If I would have known yesterday, it's only been on the market 1 day. If I would have known yesterday, we could have got it for $20,000 less.
Here's the thing. Even when you're trying to prepare clients for new build, that's what we're seeing. The prices are jumping so quickly on new builds that people don't like. I hear somebody say, "Oh, I want to go do new build," but the price that you see in a new build today or the from number is not the price that you're probably going to go into contract. It's much higher, right?
Well,
Sarah,
and that just
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, you hang up. No, you
okay.
hang up.
All right. So can you please tell me about Treviso? I'm just kidding.
I was there today. I was in Treviso today.
Please, for the love of everything, don't ask
you
about Treviso on this channel.
But let me tell you, I was there today and I went to Drees, Toll Brothers, and Taylor Morrison. Taylor Morrison, first off, they do a lottery if you're lucky. The list is 400 people deep. That's the first thing. And they said in about 3 years, we'll probably be ready to start talking to people. There was one resale house in Treviso right now for $999,000 today.
I mean,
one. It has been on the market 1 day.
So
there are no new builds. There's no inventory. There's one house. So if you want $1 million, if you want that one house in Treviso right now, and it's good size. It's like 4,500 square feet. It's a good size house with a nice view and a beautiful community, all that. But that's it. Take it or leave it. So the speed to execution is priority number one. You have to be able to, on a dime, decide whether or not you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's a huge
and pull the trigger. Can't have these. Yeah.
That's a great point. I want to ask this question to everybody. We'll start with Kevin. At what price point are you seeing the easiest to find homes?
To actually find a home that's available?
Yes.
I think that does depend on the neighborhood. I work with a wide range of buyers. I'd say half my transactions or more are probably over $600,000. And I can promise you in the right neighborhoods where the homes are priced appropriately, anything even between 500 and I would say 3 million, if it comes onto the market and it's appropriately priced, is still going to go in a day. Like Westlake has 2 or 3 homes under 3 million. One came onto the market and I hope he's not. I know he's not watching, but one of my clients, there's a home that came on the market. I showed it to him pre-market. It's 2.7 million, and I said, I think this is the one for you. And he's like, okay, offer them 2.4. And I was like, bro, you don't get it.
Yeah.
I said, I know for a lot of people that's a lot of money, but this is happening on every price point right now. If your budget's 500, there's a ton of people looking at 500 because there's just no inventory. I see, of course, we would see the most homes that get listed in that 400 to 600 range right now. Right. That's a constant range all over town. And that's one thing I was going to tell you when you're talking about, looking in these areas like Treviso. I've given up on that place. Like, if somebody says, oh, I want to live in Treviso, I'm like, listen, or whatever the case is, Belterra, if it's south, all of a sudden you do not have, if you want to be in Austin, you don't have the luxury, if your budget is a one budget, of picking just one area. In fact, I'm telling people you need to be looking at similar neighborhoods, north, south, east, and west. Be familiar with the neighborhoods, be familiar with the schools, and be flexible. If a home comes up, you need to be ready to go no matter where it is in town. You can't just be, I'm a north person or I'm a south person. In fact, some of my clients during this process, they said, well, I thought I wanted a house in a specific area of town, but I'm glad that we looked at some other areas because I actually like them better. So it'll take you more time of looking around town, but I think it's a valuable process. Plus, when things do come up, you'll be more competitive.
Yeah. I mean, I was showing homes in the $1 million range Friday, Saturday, not Sunday. We were already seeing multiple offers at $1 million to $1.2 million. We showed properties at the $3 million range, for $3 and $5 million range for another client. And I scheduled the time. Even on these like big multi-million-dollar homes, you have to schedule with the listing agent, show up with the listing agent's usually there. We show up and the agent's like hurrying us through the showing. And I'm like, what the heck is this agent hurrying us through this showing for? This is a $3.9 million home. What the heck are they rushing us for? I get outside and there's people waiting outside. $3.9 million and people are waiting outside to show that property. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I mean, Sarah, are you finding there's some good questions for you here. So I want to get to you. And there's some good questions in the chat, but are you still finding it? Are you finding that it's harder in specific price points for your loans and for clients?
Yeah. So there's two pieces to this, I think. As far as compatibility, yeah, that's a word, I think. Anyway. Good. So basically a lot of deals that I'm seeing come through my side is I'm seeing a lot between like the 4 and 650 range, like 400,000 to 650,000, like purchase price. And all of it is like they're going above asking, over 20% down. But but there's still a lot of multiple offer situations, and I'm helping, tailor what they can do, what they can't do. But as far as easier, where I haven't seen it yet, which it sounds from you like I probably will, is like $1 million plus. And there's a lot of different things that we can do with that type of loan that a lot of people aren't aware of, which is nice. So I'm able to kind of go through different options, even if they do have to offer above asking. We have a couple different options besides just a jumbo loan where they don't have to put down as much. And so that's nice because not everyone has that in their pocket to give those different options to borrowers. But that's what I'm kind of seeing right now as far as price points are concerned.
And a lot of it has to do, and just so we're on the same page, a lot of it has to do is there's no inventory and low rates, right?
Yeah, exactly. Rates are super low. Like, no, there's no inventory, and it's just, a lot of people are relocating and they just have money to burn. And, some people are realistic. Usually when they talk to you or see your channel, they know what's going on. But if they don't, then they're like, oh, I can get in here for a deal. Like, and they get so surprised with property taxes because they're a lot higher than what they're used to. I get a lot of people up for California. Homeowners insurance is higher. I had someone the other day where the home that they were selling in California was a couple $100,000 more than their price point here, but their property taxes were more here and the homeowner's insurance was a little bit more here, and they were shocked. And that's a part of it. And that's the conversation I try to have with borrowers on the front end when we go through the financing part.
So did you guys see my video I did kind of poking fun at that guy who did the article about Austin and how he said a bunch of things about Austin, but he regretted it. Business Insider just called me today and interviewed me to write an article about me making fun of him. I didn't make fun of him. I just point out the holes in his arguments. So, sorry. I thought that was a good little fun thing. So, Sarah, quick math. Make $6K a month. Get your pen out, eraser. $6K a month. How much loan they approve me for to buy a house?
That is a fantastic question. There's actually a lot that goes into how to calculate how much home you can afford and how much of a loan you can get approved for than just income. So income is a part of it, but also another big part is your debt to income ratio that I have to calculate. And that's based off of not only your income, but the proposed housing payment for whatever that home will be with property taxes and insurance, and possibly mortgage insurance and HOA dues. But then also the minimum monthly payments for any debts you have that show up on your credit report, and rate and loan term and all that, and loan program. So I can't, as much as I'd love to be able to just shoot out, an amount for you, there's a lot that goes into that calculation, but feel free to reach out and I'll give you my contact information and you can apply with me and I can tell you.
So hold on, if somebody gets their $600 stimulus check, you can get what, $2.3 million, right?
Oh,
Is that right? Ian, is that what you're seeing?
Oh yeah, of course.
Always.
Yeah, everybody. That's the first thing I would do is go take that $600 and use it as a down payment. Maybe that's the gap in your appraisal waiver right there. So that's not even an inspection.
Yeah, and that's actually, I have so many
or
good questions
option
on
money.
you guys.
It's not even option money anymore.
Ian, I'm talking, sir.
All right, let me.
Dude, man, I love you, bro. No, we have so many good comments on here. I want to try to get to some of these, but I don't want to step over the fact that we have some things we want to talk about. But what else are we preparing our clients for? Ian, what else are you doing to prepare your clients for this market?
Oh, a million things. Okay, so I think understanding, like what both Sarah and Kevin and you always say, is you have to understand what your payment breakdown is. I've got people that don't understand property taxes in Austin. They don't understand HOA. They don't understand. Like there's a neighborhood, and we've talked about this, Jeremy. There's a neighborhood called Cimarron Hills, and in order to be part of the neighborhood, they've got an HOA, but then they have like kind of a hidden HOA, and it's to be part of the condo association. I'm sorry, part of the country club. You have to be part of the country club in order to be part of that neighborhood. So it's not instead of a $150 HOA, it's a $300 HOA. And then you have the taxes on top of it. And then insurance is higher because you have a terracotta roof instead of a composite shingle. And then there's just all sorts of elements. And then it's probably going to be a premium because you've got golf balls being flown at your house. So all of those elements change
Sarah, what's
the
the golf ball
premium.
Yeah.
Like it all matters. And people don't know that.
So I like this question, Sarah. There's a lot of good finance questions on here. I'm going to get to these, but this point is actually falls in line with mistakes people are making, right? What % appreciation do you expect in Austin in 2021? So you guys can correct me, and ladies can correct me. Lady, I'm talking about you, Kevin. Sorry. We have fun on this channel, man. We have lots.
Is it because of my mullet? Is that what you're saying?
It's the mullet, man. It's the mullet. I got a haircut like a week ago, and I already need another haircut. Anyway, but amount of appreciation for 2021, right? Here's the thing: none of us have the golden ball or whatever, the crystal ball, but I think some people I'm starting to see get frustrated and drop out of this market. Do you guys think that, and ladies think, Kevin, that at waiting till 2022 or that you'll be able to get a better deal if you just wait and cool off?
No, there's no chance. I mean, cooling off. It's like what you were saying with Treviso. 400 people. Do you think that's going to cool off anytime soon? Like and I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to mansplain or be terse about this. The truth is the interest rates are probably either going to stay or go up, and the number of homes isn't going to increase appreciably on the market relative to the number of buyers that we have. So maybe all these guys can say, and Jeremy will attest to this, you get this question every single year. I got this question 5 years ago where people are like, I don't want to buy at the peak of the market. I was like, there is no peak. No, this is it's one. I mean, it was like this for a while, but now we're in this deal. I mean, truth. Let's speak facts. Like generally speaking, from 2019 to 2020, if you look month to month, the appreciation was around 20%, right?
20%
in the hot months. 20%. Guess what? The appreciation. I don't know the data for February or for January, but it's going to come out. My guess is between November and January, it's up another 20%. That's my guess, 15 to 20%. So that's happened in 2 months.
I disagree with you, Kevin. I
think it's more.
I think it's more. I think it's be 25. I mean, I have a client that literally wrote, and Sarah can attest to this, had a client that wrote $130,000 over list price.
Yeah. There was a house in Travis Heights. I was telling these guys, it was listed for 800 and it sold for 1.175 cash. $375,000, 50% almost over ask. So you're
saying this market's semi-competitive?
I mean, I don't want to scare people away. That's true, though. Like, we don't want to make people think that you can't buy here. But the reality is, it's like, you have an opportunity to buy GameStop. Well, it's still only $100 a share, and it's going to $400 a share. And you're going to know sooner rather than later that you should sell it instead of holding on to the bag.
On the moon, baby.
Don't do what I did. Anyways, but yeah. So this market is not going to, in my opinion, I can't guarantee this. But the reality is, with supply and demand, the number of companies that we have coming in here to make permanent residences, it's unlikely in the next few years that this will soften in any way, shape, or form to make it easier for you to buy a house. There may be a little less competition, but the prices will have risen significantly by then.
What do you think, Ian? I
think the only way Austin is going to slow down right now is if there's some sort of divine intervention or a apocalyptic moment where we're just wiped off the map. There are far too many jobs coming here. There are 25 cranes in the sky just downtown. And then you go to Domain, there's cranes. They're building, Amazon's got 5 buildings. They're building all these other like micro cities around the different suburbs. There's too much. Even more. So even if we have an issue where people can't afford their mortgage and we go into foreclosure, the forbearance issue, we have so many investors that are locked out of new build communities that they can't wait for people to not be able to pay for their house. That's not a good thing, but it's a good thing for somebody. Right?
I had somebody ask me today, do you know where we can find foreclosures? And I laughed.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I was like, foreclosures? What? What are you talking about, foreclosures? Anyway, continue. I apologize.
No,
yeah.
I think one of the other key factors, and we don't see it yet, but I can see it starting to happen, is within the last few years, like I said, we've had the luxury of picking, and I'm looking at the map, sorry to see, houses is what I'm doing. And we've had the luxury of being able to choose places in town that we really want to live. And that's cool. It's a nice ability. You can sit back and search realtor.com in your favorite neighborhood. But tip to tail, if I have to go from Dripping Springs for a showing to Round Rock, like with moderate traffic, it still only takes like 45 minutes. I mean, I still feel like in Austin, we're massively spoiled. People are like, I want a $400,000 house that's 5 minutes from downtown. Like that, there are some areas where there's $400,000 decent houses that are 10 to 12 minutes from downtown in one of the hottest cities in this country. I think that we're just going to have to not say that people can't buy. It's just that your expectations need to change a little bit about where your dollar is going to go. So if your budget was 3 to 5, which is a really strong, healthy, typical budget, maybe now Buda, Kyle, San Marcos, Georgetown, like Ian was saying, Georgetown's got a lot of really affordable homes. And yeah, it's a little further, but that whole growth belt between Liberty Hill, Leander, Georgetown, and eventually all the way through the east side of town, basically from Pflugerville all the way through to Del Valle, is going to be where all the new stuff's going to be. So that's where I would keep my thumb on that pulse. And truthfully, I would do that also because those homes are going to be the most affordable, which for me means the most, like, this appreciation curve is pretty rapid. Like it goes pretty exponential up front and then it levels off the higher the price goes. So if you buy a house at 250 or 300, you're going to see massive gains in the first couple of years relative to if you bought one at 5 or 6, and then the appreciation that it's going to get.
Unless you put a pool in like I did, then you're screwed. So
Yeah, you're not right now when summer comes around. So
I mean, we can't say the word, but my community shut down the 4 pools, so we had to build a pool because it was that or move to Dripping Springs. I love Dripping Springs. I wanted to be Sarah's neighbor, Kevin. I wanted to live next between you and Sarah. The problem is what Kevin said is that I still do drive 45 minutes to Round Rock, so that it's easy to drive 15 minutes to Dripping Springs, but it's a lot harder to drive 15 minutes to Dripping Springs and then an hour to Round Rock. So anyway,
Jeremy, do you want to talk about property taxes and expectations of property taxes maybe a little bit? What are your thoughts on that with people, like pricing of homes, expectations of property tax relative to price?
That was like number 7 on the list. So
let me finish the driving. Let me jump on the driving bandwagon.
Oh God, here we go.
Well, hold on. So Kevin, you mentioned something really good. You said if you stay on the east side, the thing that people don't may not pay attention to is that 130, Highway 130 on the east side, the speed limit starts at 85.
Yeah, it's super fast.
Yeah, the toll road.
It is very fast. Most people are going 95 or 100.
Tesla, like Ian, you can do 120 real easy.
Yeah, hands free too. No.
You'll see a lot more off that interstate because it's cheap. It's cheaper relative,
Yep.
flatter, easier to develop land. The Balcones fault line runs straight through the middle of Austin. Anything west is going to be hilly, rocky, hard to build.
Yep.
Anything east is going to be lowland, flat ranch land. Yep. So it's easy to build. So in the long term, you're going to see way more houses being built in that whole. I know. I laugh so hard at that. You'll see way more houses built on that side, which, like I said, is great. And plus, you just hop on the toll road anywhere you want to go, especially around that Hornsby area. What's Whisper Valley, right? That's a great
Whisper Valley. Yeah, that's why Tesla and Amazon are building such big factories, investing so much over there, because it's right along the highway, right, easy access to the airport, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk can drive down to Houston and hop on his SpaceX bandwagon. Mm-hmm. Go launch some satellites.
Yep. This guy. Sorry,
I like Omar.
Yeah, Omar and Dinosaur D, man.
Dinosaur D.
Oh my gosh! And this, Kevin killing people's dreams. Sarah killing people's dreams earlier.
Hey, I try not to be a dream killer.
Well, I mean, sometimes you need to be the reality maker, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about taxes. This is something I harp about a lot on my channel, a lot. To the point that my lovely wife is like, "Can you stop talking about property tax?" Like, you think I'm kidding? She's like, "Seriously." So this is a good question to ask Sarah. So if somebody's got their pre-approval, right, and the average in Austin's around 2.5%, let's just say,
yeah,
and they're looking at Treviso, like 3%. What does that do to their buying power? Yeah,
so. It's more so it depends on the borrower, right? It depends if they're at the price point we were looking at, if it's dependent on what the maximum they can actually qualify for, or if it was just, I want to stay at this monthly payment, right? Because that was their budget, that was their comfort level. So basically, if you go from using an average 2.5 to a 3, that definitely adds to your monthly payment, and it can either reduce your buying power, depending if that was your max already, or it can increase your monthly payment, by a significant amount. So if we were to do like an example, I'll get my handy dandy calculator out. So let's say that we're looking at that $900,000 home, right? And it was a primary residence. So if we're calculating off of a 2.5 interest rate, then that means we'd be looking at a monthly taxes of about $1,500. But if we were thinking about Treviso and their actual tax rate, and let's use 3%, then that means that we're now looking at $1,800. So that means that the monthly payment's going to increase by $300. And that's pretty significant.
Oh, speaking of taxes, also Prop A and Prop B is only Travis County, right? or Williamson as well. We did a whole video about this, Ian, and this is a confusing freaking topic right here.
It is.
So that'll, I mean, I think so. As far as like, we had talked about what to expect moving forward this year. I think Prop A and Prop B will actually be a part of what prevents us from seeing 30 to 40% increases. We'll probably still be on track for 25, but I think people are going to see that huge increase this year.
They're just going to have a Prop C and D in Williamson County.
Yeah. See, so tell us about Prop C and D in Williamson County.
Yeah, I'm saying it's going to mirror this. They're going to say, hey, we like what you did. We're going to do it too, because we need the money. So
Tali did make me laugh. She's actually the person I was talking about.
Nice.
Asked me about foreclosures. Oh, that's funny. Hello, welcome to the channel. All right. So Kevin and Ian, as far as property taxes go, what are you doing to warn clients about specific areas they're buying in? Are you telling them, like, great question. Are you just pretty much blowing off what the tax rate is, or are you warning people about what the tax rate they're getting themselves into?
Ian, you want to hit this first?
I mean, I'll go ahead. So I would say I never go anywhere with a client without them understanding that they're going to be between 2.5% to 3%. And it's a lot of it. It's really funny. A lot of it depends on whether or not they want some high-end amenities like, pools and all that. And if they want gas ovens. Like if you like to cook, you're going to pay more in taxes. I don't know if you realize that because, they'll add the mud tax to bring utilities out and stuff. What was that, Joey?
But mine's only $25 a month for the gas.
Yeah, but you're south.
But I'm just saying, like, then you got to pay the mud tax, which you're not really knowing that you're paying.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, the mud. So, like I say, don't try to break up the mud tax and the actual tax. No. It's 2.5% to 3%.
Yeah,
and if you are closer to 2.5%, you are winning. If you are above 3%, you better really like that place or the schools or something. There's got to be something that's drawing you to that place.
Well, this is why I think it's key to. And what irritates the heck out of me, sorry, I almost cursed.
There's no kids on this channel. Go ahead.
But it irritates me that a lot of places, like if you're searching through Jeremy's site, for example, it may show this data, it may not. But a lot of the search sites like Realtor.com, Zillow, they don't really show. If they show it at all, they don't show the tax rate, which I think is a travesty because
it just makes our data more valuable.
Yes, but the thing is, like, it's hard to set expectations then because if you get people looking at homes and you've looked at 50 homes or whatever, and that's not unreasonable now anymore, and they get ready to write an offer and they're like, what's the property tax? Or they don't even know, or they don't even ask, and they don't know to ask, then it can affect their budget really significantly. I'll give an example. Like Dripping Springs is one of these places that it's settled down a little bit, but the difference between tax rates in not just Dripping Springs, but properties that aren't in a HOA or maybe are like in Westlake and some of these ETJs, they're at the base county rate. So that tax rate could be under 2. It could be like 1.7 or 1.8. Well, if you're looking at a house that's, $500,000 to $800,000 and you're going to pay 2.5 to 3% versus a house that's in a 1.7 to 2.5, your budget now goes a lot farther. Like, so you can stretch your budget a lot farther. But the other thing about property taxes, I think that most people don't think about is the rate at which the property values have increased. Yeah. Likely you're seeing property tax estimates from way like previous because, taxes are paid in arrears. So you're looking at values from a long time ago if you're looking at values. So in my opinion, you have to be ahead of that curve and say, not only can I afford the taxes based on last year, based on estimating the price it is today, but if the appreciation keeps going up and my taxes keep going up at the same rate, how is that going to affect me into the future?
Yeah, and if you're buying a house and you're paying, $100,000 over or $200,000 over, what do you think your tax is going to be?
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to be assessed at? What do you think you're doing to that neighborhood? And not only that, but it's if it's an investment property or a second home, You can't cap that with a homestead exemption. Yeah, that's important for you to know.
Yeah, homestead exemptions are nice too, but I see some people mentioning, and I did mention the east side of town, which I should be very clear. Most of the new developments now, because there isn't Austin infrastructure or city infrastructure, what you're paying for, the tax rate, you're paying for the infrastructure. And then they're billing it back to you in the form of property taxes later on. Now, what they don't also tell you is that over time, it should, as the infrastructure gets, more solidified, paid down, those tax rates should be backing off. But with all the developments heading to the east side of town, like Hutto, Manor, a lot of these places, they are most definitely 3 and even 3 point. I've seen, I don't know, the highest I've seen is like maybe 3.25 or 3.3. Have you guys seen higher than that?
3.4.
Where the hell did you see
3.4 was over on the east side, just north of the river. It was like some kind of weird condo association thing, but the tax itself was 3.4%.
That's wild. Yeah, there's a lot of Hutto is like 3.1 to 3.2.
Yeah,
which I mean, and that's kind of a triple whammy. Like, as much as I like Hutto, like there's parts of it that are, I think, maybe like Sienna, which is a little bit more, maybe, I don't want to say it's more desirable, because I don't really, people think I only have to buy in Sienna. But if you're on the toll road, you're not just getting hit by property taxes. You're also having to pay the tolls every time you get on and off. So it might be something to think about if you're looking at that.
Well, and if you're stepping on the gas and you're,
hold on. I want Sarah to jump in. She's been patiently waiting over there.
Sorry, she's ready to go.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, like, you bring a lot of good points, but also as far as what you're saying about the higher property taxes in areas that are farther out, where generally you'll find a lower purchase price, I think people in their minds think, oh, well, I won't move into Austin. I'll buy right outside of Austin where they have lower purchase prices. But a lot of those places have higher tax rates. Not all of them, but like you're saying, like Hutto and Manor. Like usually you have lower purchase prices and higher tax rates. And so it ends up being a wash almost if you get something that is a slightly higher, that has a higher purchase price and a lower tax rate when you're looking at monthly payment. I deal with that with clients all the time. And then Zillow and all those online mortgage calculators are absolutely horrible because they do not calculate escrows correctly. And I have to deal with that all the time. So like, oh, well, I looked it up and on here, it says that my monthly payment is only going to be this. And it's like, okay. I was like, but that doesn't include your full payment. So let's take another look at this. So you know exactly what you're paying each month.
So great point here, because Alejandro Gill, who also threw this in there. Thank you, Alejandro. Appreciate that. Whenever I see you, let's grab a beer. I owe you $5 beer. So let's do that. But I'm looking at a home in Manor for $250,000 with a 3.2 tax rate. Is that a bad deal? I would love your input, haven't closed yet. This is the challenge, I think, as agents and people in this market. $250K is not a bad deal. You have to understand, though, $250K on a 3.2 tax rate is still high, as long as it's going to be in your budget, and you know that those taxes will go up in the future. Whatever taxes they kind of have you at now, know that they will go up every year. They're reassessed every year. If you're okay with that and it's in your budget, then it's a great deal, because you know what? Manor is going to go up. Now, if that house is falling down and it needs a lot of work, maybe not. But you have to do, and this is, I don't think what people, and I think Sarah just kind of really made a good point here, is that people have to know what they're getting themselves into, and those taxes will go up. At a certain point, those taxes are going to hurt people. So yes, it's good to maybe move out, but 3.2% on a $250,000 home is probably like $350,000 somewhere else, right? That's what that payment ends up being. So, but
you might not. The truth is, if you have a home under contract at 250, none of us would tell you to leave that contract, because if you're going into a lower tax rate area where the price point is 350, guess what? You are going to be competing with now a whole new group of people, and I'm not so sure that home's going to be 350. It won't be 350 anymore. You'll have to go to a place that's 300 with a lower tax rate to get around 350 as your end result. And that's what I think that's what you guys have to understand, is like I would be adding, I don't know, between at least 10 to 20% on top of the purchase price, or or the list price is what you'll probably end up paying by the time you get a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say things?
No, Ian, you're not allowed. Shh.
I have so much to say about this. Okay, so that house today that I got in Georgetown was
look, I got something under contract today. I'm so cool.
No. There's it's relevant. It's relevant.
I just
so
get
287.
Hold on. For anybody that thinks of giving Ian a hard time, Ian and I talk literally probably 2 to 3 times a day. So absolutely. I love it. Probably more than that. So, and I talk to Sarah just as much, and Kevin, we probably talk at least twice a week. So anyway, sorry, go ahead. So just so you don't think I'm picking on poor Ian, who has a beautiful head of hair under that hat. Go ahead.
How's my hair?
There you go. How's his hair?
Okay, so for real, the and thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The house I got today was $287,000. The tax rate was 2.2.
Wait,
that house.
Say that again.
$287,000 house. If it was yesterday, it would have been $267,000. The tax rate is 2.2. Now you don't have a whole lot of amenities there. There's a pocket park. That's it. But the travel time I just ran it from there in Georgetown to downtown Austin, no traffic, is 32 minutes. To Rainy Street, as downtown gets, is 32 minutes. No traffic.
36. I'm a 36th guy, not Rainy.
You're 36 with tolls. So it actually is longer with tolls. So the point there is that house will be less money monthly than the house in Manor. The distance is similar. What you have to factor into there is your quality of life. So consider things like, are you going to spend most of your time in Cedar Park or Leander, or do you need to be able to go downtown a lot? That matters. That cost is a factor in what you're spending to live there. If you have to access downtown, it's actually a better deal to get that Manor house because you can get downtown to and from quicker. But if you work remote, or you only spend your time going to the Domain or in Round Rock or wherever, then that makes more sense. So you really have to, it's not just what's the sales price, it's what's the sales price, what are all those other added costs, what's the tax, and then how does that impact your life? How it impacts your life is the part that people miss.
Yeah. Well, if you're a family.
How many people? That's what people
don't give them a hard time.
Oh man!
Everybody's spitting all over that. I need some more soda. I need some more water.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you're a family, though, I mean, also schools are come into play then too. I get those calls all the time. Like, what's the best school district? What is a good school district?
Manor against Georgetown. Like, we can't really, but think about it, right?
Yeah.
So
I went to a really crappy public school in the Midwest. I think good schools are good, but I do also, I'm a firm believer that, there are going to be sacrifices that you're going to make. I don't think you're going to be able to buy in the school district, in the house, in the price, in the tax rate that you want. So, and you may be touching on this, Jeremy, but I see a lot of people in your chat asking, is this a good deal? Like, listen, how valuable is a gallon jug of water when you're walking through the desert? Like, if it's valuable to you, if that's where you want to be and that's how much it costs, that's a good deal. Like, if you want to sacrifice money to go be somewhere else, but you're sacrificing your quality of life, or you're sacrificing something that your family wants or needs, then no, that's not a good deal. Like, because I would not pay $1 for something that I don't want, but I'll pay even a little bit, or possibly a lot more, for something that's going to drastically change my life. So that's the way I would approach this. Is it a good deal? Is that the house that you want? That's a good deal. Take it. If you have a contract, take it.
Is it available?
That's a pretty profound prospect from a guy with a mullet,
Yeah.
So, I wasn't born with this mullet. I grew it.
You earned it.
I earned it.
Nah. So I mean, we have a ton of questions in here. Please keep them coming. I am trying to get to them, but I think, Kevin, you made a really, really good point. A lot of people are asking, like, hey, I'm getting a house in Siena for $470K. I'm getting a house for 229. Like, this is a good deal right here. I do this all day. San Marcos. I mean, I try to buy investment properties once or twice a year, and I'm always keeping an eye on tax rate, and I'll pay a little more for a house with a lower tax rate. And that's just me. And that's, it might be a little bit closer, right? It might, but as long as it's a lower tax rate, I can try to protest that tax. And that's a good point and a good segue to a question somebody wrote up here about taxes in homesteads. Where did it go?
If you homestead in another state, can you homestead in Texas? Is basically what the question said.
That's a great question. Sarah, answer that question.
I am not a legal professional. So I am not an expert on where you can homestead, but if you homestead in another state, you can homestead here. What I can say is if your primary residence will be in Texas and we are not closing you as a second home or an investment property, then you are eligible for your homestead exemption. Homestead exemptions are for primary residences only. And I will also say this, that they've caught on, because I used to see people when their stuff would come through my desk where they would buy in different counties and they would try to keep their homestead exemption in like Travis, and they're buying in Hayes and try to keep it there to, keep their cap and their taxes low. But they have caught on wise appraisal districts. So when you apply for your homestead exemption after you buy, they actually will look up and say, we will not apply this until we have proof that you've removed it from the other county. So in case anyone had that question.
So that Kevin, yes, your mullet is quite wise. Dinosaur G, keep the comments coming, my friend. You are.
I don't use banks either. I keep all my money in it.
Buried in the backyard. That's where I keep mine. I love it. So that actually begs a good question, because we have a lot of people, all of us have investors that reach out to us. If somebody's trying to buy a home here and claim that it's a question mainly for Sarah, but if somebody comes out and says, hey, I want to buy, a home, but I want to Airbnb it right away, what are the problems people might face? Or maybe they say they want to buy it, rent it out for a year, and then move into it. Are they committing mortgage fraud?
As long as they do not buy it as a primary residence, it has to be an investment property. So and that's a really good question, because it comes up all the time, and people they're looking out there and they want to get the lower down payment option or the better interest rate, which comes with a primary residence. But if you have every intent of buying a home with knowing that you're going to Airbnb it, you're going to rent it out, and that is not going to be your primary residence, it has to be an investment property. If you try to purchase it as anything other than an investment property, then yes, that would be committing mortgage fraud. And people try to do that all the time because they want the better terms of a primary residence loan. And
that is also a good segue into this. And this is what I hear all the time. I hear people try to circumvent builders, because have any of you guys seen any builders and ladies, force of habit. I usually have Ian on the channel. So have you seen any builders, A, that are taking investors, and two, do you find that investors try to circumvent the rules with some of these lenders or these builders? And if so, what are the ramifications for them? Ian, I'll let you go first.
So there are a couple builders, one high-end builder and one bottom of the barrel builder, I guess is how I'll say it, that both accept investors. And otherwise, so many of these builders are either locking communities or locking investors out entirely. So I'll give you an example. Lennar as a company, if you're an investor, too bad. If you're talking to Perry Homes, if you're an investor, too bad. You could bring them $10 million cash and try to buy a house with them. And if it's not your primary residence, you will not get this house. Same with communities. So Santa Rita Ranch is a beautiful 6,500 home community. It would be a mecca for somebody who is an investor to be able to invest in that community. The developer said, don't want it. Don't want Airbnbs. I don't want people renting stuff out. Not allowed.
I don't think it's a bad idea too to restrict that. I mean, I have nothing wrong with investors. I work with a lot of investors, but
Right.
you know, what would keep me if I saw this trend coming? You know what I would do? I would go find my richest friends. I'd buy them the best meal in Austin, and I'd sit them down and say, if you can raise me X number of dollars, I'll go into a community and I'll buy 30 homes. And so that prevents these conglomerates from coming in and saying, I'm going to buy every home in Siena and then I'm going to rent them out, or I'm going to hold them for 2 years and then I'm going to sell them at a profit. I mean, who wouldn't take that deal right now? Right. 40% gain in 2 years plus cash flowing the whole time you own it. So I think it's a smart thing to do based on, and it's just like all this other stuff, you know, like if you're following this investing stuff, it's just like Robinhood or these other platforms locking you out from buying shares. Like they're just looking out for themselves here, you know, trying to make the best deal for themselves. They don't care what an investor wants to do. They're just trying to keep their own business moving. And if they did that, if they sold to investors, they would piss off every single homeowner client and they would lose that business long term. And that word would get out eventually that, hey, this builder doesn't want to work with homeowners. That would be damaging to their reputation.
Yeah. Yep. And
what was the other part of that question?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing too, is that, you know, a lot of these builders are now going to auctions. There was a question about, you know, what was it? I just saw it. Here we go. I have a new build that's about to start accepting offers on Friday in Austin. How does one go about figuring out how much to offer? I mean, like 10%, 20% over listing. Market's crazy. Not sure. This is here's the biggest challenge. Ian, I can't see your face in this. Sorry, man. But here's the biggest challenge is that I have it under very good authority that these builders have gotten together and say they got together with Taylor Morrison. Remember, we talked about this the other day, how Taylor Morrison's going to that auction thing. I have it on very good authority that all of them got together a week ago, the VPs of all these companies, and all came together and said, hey, we really should start doing all of this auction thing. D.R. Horton was already doing it, right? Whoever, Taylor Morrison, they're trying to get all the other builders to do this and hold off putting out lots because they don't know where prices are going to go. So they want to capitalize on that. They're only letting out like maybe 2 deals a month. Some of these builders, how do you only sign 2 contracts in a community a month with some of these builders? I don't get it, but I do have it under good authority that they're going to do that. So if somebody in this position, I mean, this is even a good for Sarah because Sarah competes with builder loans all the time. Like, how does somebody like even win that with some of these? Because I know I have a lot of clients on these lists. Kevin has them on there. You have them on there. Sarah, we have clients together on those lists. How do we offer to make sure we're winning? Because I even saw in what do we talk about? Vizcaya with Taylor Morrison, $200,000 just for the lot premium is what somebody offered and got. So what do you recommend for this question? Sorry, I'll bring it back up. I just couldn't see faces. I'll start with Sarah because she's smiling so much.
You know what? I can't help it. I was born this way. But anyway, I mean, honestly, when we get to how much should you offer over the asking price or listing price, I always like get with the realtor or the agent on the deal so we can chat about it because I know what I see come through my desk, but I'm not pulling comps and I'm not the expert in that community to know that. And I always defer to the agent. And then we usually talk, we run numbers, and then we get with the client and figure out what is most competitive. How can we be most competitive on this? And I think it goes back to Ian's point earlier, like how much is it worth to you? You know, how much is that community or that lot or that property worth it to you? If it's really worth it to you, then you are going to work that number out with your lender to see where you're most comfortable and where you're willing to go. And I think that that's important is working together as a team to figure out what that price point is with those characteristics in mind.
Love it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just thought about the way to phrase it. A deal is not a dollar value. That's the way to phrase it. I'm done. Mic drop.
Okay.
Jeremy, I had to second guess because that was Chris Waters. I was like, that's not
the real
like Chris Waters.
He's showing my channel.
Chris Waters showing in your channel, trying to get the scoop. Anyways, I would say 10% is not going to cut it anymore. Honestly, I think 20% right now until the sellers get wise, and I'm starting to see one or two sellers that are becoming wise to the fact that the prices are going up significantly. In this market, I would say if I was listing a property, I would be listing it at about 20% over ask right now, because I even think people would be willing to go even further past that. You know, if I was going to list it for 500, I'd list it now for 600 and then see what people are willing to do. And the other thing is, like, I saw somebody previously had said something like similar to that. About I think appraisal values or whatever the case might be. Yeah, the thing is about appraisals, we don't know. We have no idea now where appraisals are going to come out, because if you're putting a contract now versus a month ago, like the solds from a month ago aren't going to reflect now. So I don't know that there's a rush. I do think that there's probably value in some ways of letting the next couple of weeks flush out so we get a new level of sold data to have less issues with appraisals. But relative to that, I mean, I'm telling my clients now they're going to have tens of thousands of dollars ready to go, because you're not going to get, maybe these guys know, I'm not going to get a contract without an appraisal waiver now.
Yes.
That's, you know what, that's a good place we need to go. That's a very good place we need to go in this conversation. And it doesn't even matter with the builder, right? The builders are still requiring you, if you write that 20% over, they are still requiring you to bring up that extra cash. So they don't give a crap if it appraises. You're paying the difference. And if you don't pay the difference, guess what happens? You fall out of contract, they put it on the market, and guess what happens? Somebody snatches it up, because comps will probably be close to there, and they'll probably be under contract, close with what you paid, and it will appraise for that. This is how crazy this market is, but it's moving so fast. Ian, go.
So this is a really important, I love this appraisal waiver question, because it applies based on how the builder is releasing lots. So I give you an example. One builder, if they're doing a lot lottery versus another builder that's doing a build process, the build process is going to lose in the appraisal system every time, because those houses that don't appraise, that's going to be a gap. If it's a lot lottery, then each one of those houses that they build, in a lot of cases, you're not just throwing numbers out there. They're releasing the lot, and then you're just building on it. They're not releasing the lot at a place that is going to be way above appraisal value. So that's how I've understood it. And right now, I haven't had a lot of houses that haven't appraised.
We're going to start seeing if those are going to be issues, right?
Yeah, right. I think I'm keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
Pulse check.
So we brought this up, and this is really important to talk about. And Kevin, thank you for hitting this. Is that appraisal waivers, right? If we write an offer for a client right now, we basically have to guarantee you, the buyer, sorry, not we, but the buyer, you have to guarantee that you're going to make up that difference. Are you going to talk about costly mistakes? We're trying.
This is.
Sorry. So
this is a costly mistake.
Yes. So it will cost you, right? This is a costly mistake. If you are not preparing yourself for this, and for what appraisal waivers mean, Sarah, I'll let you talk about what they actually mean. But if you're not doing this now, what happens? You write an offer for 30 grand over, right? You miss it. You write an offer for 50 grand over. You miss it. I mean, people in this chat have talked about how many offers they've missed. Then you write an offer for 70 grand because now you're frustrated. And then you do what my client just did, write $130,000 over price offer, right? And still have to guarantee that it makes it. Now they got a beautiful home. I'm super excited for them. They're one of my favorite clients, but that's what happens. And so you end up getting to a point that they're overpaying. So with appraisal waivers, Sarah, I'll let you explain it because you're on the lending side. Yeah. What are you seeing with appraisals?
Yeah. So
waivers.
Yeah. So I've actually been pretty lucky with appraisals so far. I've only had one or two. I know it's a surprise. It's like, I don't know. No, but I've only had like one or two appraisals within the last, I guess, 14 months that came in under. So we actually have a really good appraisal panel. We've just been lucky. I don't know. But I've had quite a few clients that have offered over asking and I've only had 1 or 2 that came in under. But the thing is, with an appraisal waiver, what it means is that you're agreeing to waive your rights to whatever the appraisal comes back at. So basically, let's say that you put in an offer for $650, and you're saying that if the appraisal comes in under that amount, you are 100% going to move forward with paying up the difference. Like, you're not going to try to basically renegotiate that. So regardless of what the appraisal comes in at, you're agreeing to that purchase price, regardless of what the amount of the appraisal is. So if you give an appraisal waiver and you're paying $650, the appraisal comes in at $550, then you're agreeing to come up with the extra $100,000 to buy that home. Now, as far as lending is concerned, we can, like, if you already were putting a lot down to begin with, we might be able to restructure a little bit where instead of 20% down, you're now putting 10% down, so that doesn't hurt so bad. But the thing is, with lending, you have to understand, we have to go off of the appraised value if it is lower. If it's higher, we go off the purchase price. But if that appraisal comes in lower, we have to go off of the appraised value. We can no longer go off of that purchase price. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. So that's another reason why it's really important to have that conversation, have an excellent realtor, have an excellent lender. So you know that when you're making that offer, so you're not, I was going to say, like, tough luck. And like, you're not screwed because you didn't understand what you're agreeing to, I guess.
You want to know what the next biggest costly mistake is? Signing appraisal waiver, right? We don't know what the comps are going to be, because in this world, you could price it. You know what? From now on, I'm pricing everything at $1, right? And it's going to sell for whatever it sells for, because who knows what they're going to sell for. The costly mistake is not knowing what Sarah just said, not having agents like us tell you about what an appraisal waiver is, having an agent that has you sign an appraisal waiver, and then you get stuck not having that money and having to back out of that contract. Yeah. So appraisal waiver, if you have to back out because of the appraisal, you're saying whatever. So if you put $10,000 earnest money down, guess who gets to keep that money? Yeah. Seller. And they put it back on the market, and now they make more money selling it the second time because market's crazy. So
or they just move to the backup offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they go to the backup offer. So that's a costly mistake. And, it's sad that we're in this time. Like, all of us on here, none of us are happy about this market. I mean, who's happy about this market right now? Raise your hand.
I've had people say, "Oh, the Austin market's so hot. You must be so happy." I was like, I can't find a home. I couldn't find a home last year anyway. And now we have the same amount of homes, maybe a little bit more, and like 5 times as many buyers or more, 10 times as many buyers. No, none of us are happy about this.
I'm happy that people reach out and ask for help, but I'm very unhappy, like Kevin said, when I can't actually help. It's like,
Jeremy, you hit the nail on the head, though. The costliest mistake, and you can end this stream, is not having a good realtor. That's the costliest. I'm not joking. Now more than ever, if you have somebody that has just started their internship, and they're going to, I'm not saying they can't do it if they're not being guided by somebody else, but don't let them sweet talk you into signing something. Have them present the comps to you and don't have them fudge those comps either, and explain to them, hey, worst case scenario, you're going to have to come this much out of pocket even after your down payment. So if you don't have this cash ready to go, we don't need to write this offer, and we need to save everybody the time and go look at a less expensive property. Okay. So I would hate if I was the one in that situation and I had to come up with so much more of a down payment, because there does come a point where I think if you're going to pay that much more over the appraised value, well, why wouldn't you just look at a more expensive property that was within your budget for payment, but then it wasn't as crazy and competitive? You know what I mean? I said all price points are crazy and competitive. I understand that, but they do get slightly less crazy as you go up in price. Yeah.
And as far as mistakes sellers are going, because somebody asked that question down here, I think this this is a mistake. Why are sellers only letting a house stay on the market a day or two? Wouldn't you have 100 offers to compare to instead of 10? Look, this is this is tough. I mean, I just listed my neighbor's house. We had 23 offers. I literally got to a point that I was telling agents not to submit an offer. I was like, well, what are you going to offer? And because look, this market sucks, right? But at a certain point, we need to have kind of a friendliness between agents, right? We need to at least not waste people's time. So agents are like, hey, I want to write an offer here. I'm like, you'd be in the bottom 3%. Like, yeah, bottom 33, you'd be less than that if you
offer a bit more transparency, right, Jeremy? A little bit more transparency.
Yeah, transparency. Because here's the thing. I think sellers do themselves a disservice by putting their house on market on Thursday. They get some sweet ass offer on Friday, and they're like, all right, let's take it. 100% right. You're making a huge mistake as a seller not going Thursday through Monday. And I get it. It's tough. It's tough for a buyer, right? If you're sitting there waiting for 4 days, you're having to write probably 5 or 6 offers that weekend just to maybe get one. I get it. But for a seller, the worst thing you can do is take an off-market deal unless it's just out of this world crazy good, or really just if you are a seller and you're waiting 2 days and you're taking the first big offer that comes in and not waiting. Our job as agents on the listing side too is to say, hey, look, let's get some more offers. Let's get some more people through. Right. So what do you think?
Because you never know what could happen. You never know an offer. I've had 3 in the last week get ripped out from under us. Like we look at the house, they set a deadline for like Sunday at 5. We look at the house on Saturday morning and it says, hey, we're reviewing Sunday at 5. I call them at noon and they're like, oh, we just took one. Seller was happy with what they got. It's like, why would you do that? You don't even know what my clients would have offered. Like, well, they found an offer that they really liked. You're supposed to advise them. I can't say if I was a seller right now, and I'm going to tell this to my sellers, I was either going to tell them, like Jeremy said, we're either going to list this thing for 99 cents and see how far it goes and get the world record for most highest over ask offer, or I'm gonna list it for a ridiculously high amount, like a $600,000 house. I'm gonna list it for like 900 and just see what happens. I promise you, you're still gonna get people looking, especially if a really good property. Somebody mentioned earlier. That's what I was gonna tell you. Somebody mentioned earlier. They said, does it matter if a seller right now, if a seller probably with a really terrible house could just throw it on the market and still gonna get the same traction? I would say to an extent that might be true, but the houses that are prepped, painted, staged are getting way, way more than the cost I would say that they spent to do that work. So I still, at more than ever, would be moderately improving your space if you're going to sell, moderately improving that space. And you probably have a lot fewer sellers on here than you do buyers, I would guess. But
well, I mean, I think, one thing sellers make a big mistake, if we're going to talk about mistakes for sellers too, is that they don't get pre-approved. They don't get everything, all their ducks in a row and prepare themselves to be in this market. I had somebody call me a week ago and like, hey, like, we're really excited. We want to sell our house. I'm like, okay, well, where are you going to go? Oh, we want to buy a $275,000 house in East Austin.
Condo, not even anymore. Probably.
You can't. I said, well, what are you talking about? Oh, we saw this one in this neighborhood. I'm like, you have not prepared yourself for this market and you want to put your house on the market. You have to be prepared. You want to know who the biggest winners are in this market right now? People that put something under contract, like a new build in like April through June of last year, and now putting their house in the market right now. I just did that with my client. Yep. We went from listing a house at $475. I talked to him in August. We're going to list at $475. And then by October rolled around, I said, we're going to list at $485. We had listed for $500 in January, and it sold for 24% over list price, which is stupid, right? Stupid. So, all right. I'm off that. I'm off of that. Can't say something funny, man.
No. I was going to say, I second Jeremy. Find a lender, submit your docs, do what you need to do. Because I get those calls too. They'll be like, hey, I saw Jeremy, I got referred to you by the night group and I'm coming in tomorrow and I need a pre-approval now. And it's like 8 p.m. on a Friday. And I am all about helping people, but I respect your time as much as I hope you respect my time and what I do. But there is a lot more of this process than just hitting a button. Because I think the main part is that you need to make sure that you are fully pre-approved. because that is what's going to matter. My job is to make sure that I am helping people put their best foot forward when making that offer and making sure they have as strong as an offer as they possibly can, saying that I verified all their financial documentation. They didn't just submit that information on a loan app, because that's what matters where the market is today. Like when a listing agent, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong here, but when a listing agent's reviewing an offer, they're going to want to see, oh yes, that lender reviewed everything in writing and knows for a fact that they have the assets, they have the income, that they reviewed, their debts and their credit report. They're not going to look at something and say, oh yeah, they verbally told me these things and accept that offer with the market that we're in right now. And I think people don't understand that, because I still, some people are great and they're awesome and they submit everything right away. But, that might take a little bit depending on how long you get that documentation over. So you want to make sure you do that first before you make trips out here to come look at homes, or, schedule time to talk to one of these wonderful, wonderful folks.
Especially ones with mullets.
Yeah. Speaking of mullets, there's one thing you said, Kevin, about the appraisal waivers and knowing that there's that gap, not just your down payment, not just your closing costs, but also that gap from the appraisal waiver.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm doing when I'm on the listing side, I ask for proof of funds that you can cover the gap.
That's smart.
I don't want to waste my time. You can put in whatever offer you want. You can go 100,000 over, but can you prove it? Because that's not something that may not be something that even the lender is going to double check, right?
Yeah. And here's a good, I'm glad we have a lender on this, and we've talked about some of these things. What percent of all cash offers you're seeing right now? The costliest mistake you can make as a cash client, and all of you are going to say this, is to think you're special.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Because as we've talked about on this channel, that house down the street, I had 6 cash offers. Yeah. My client took an offer 40 grand over those cash offers, which was already well over list price. So if you think that you're a cash offer and you're going to win, I'm winning clients' finance deals with Sarah all the time, because we're giving you these tools here. And even though you're financed, you're going to pay more out of pocket if it doesn't make appraisal. We're preparing you for that. But cash offers are not king anymore. We'll see them, but cash is not king anymore in this market. Does anybody disagree with that?
That's pretty solid.
Look at that. Boom. Jeremy comes out of left field. All right. Live stream over. There we go.
What percentage is all cash offers? I'm not sure any of us.
Probably 2%, 3%. Probably 5% maybe. Yeah. 1 out of 10 is cash. But sellers aren't taking cash offers right now. They don't need to. They're getting it stuff. Okay. We're kind of going around circles here. When do you see this market cooling off? Should I wait and hold on for foreclosure? Sorry. Should I wait?
Is he serious?
To happen? I am. Jen.
I think he's serious. I think he's being serious. It depends. Like if we have a massive bubble, like if this is really a housing bubble across the country, you might see a little dip here, but you're not. I don't feel like you're going to see foreclosures here like you're going to see in other areas of this country. Detroit or the Midwest or some other places. Like this is the hottest market in this country right now.
100% the hottest by 2 times 2. The next closest market is Nevada or Las Vegas, and we are double the amount of people moving here. Double, and they are the next highest. So I'd love to pull up that and show it to you. But so if you want to move to the hottest market, you got to be prepared to move to the hottest market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here's a good one. I'm moving to a new build in Austin out of state this summer and want to buy an investment property as well. Should I wait until I'm local to buy or start looking now remotely?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I would start now. Somebody asked this question too. Who was it? KCB. Kind of similar situation. For someone that is going to move here and find a home in 3 to 6 months, would you advise to get started in this crazy market or wait until moving here? Great question. What do you guys think? And ladies, y'all, what do y'all think?
I think if you are pre-approved and you are ready to go, then you should start looking, because because there is such little inventory, I say start your search as soon as possible. So when that right house comes along, you're ready to jump on it. Because if you wait until, you are at like only 1 or 2 months out from needing to be here and you have no place to live, and then you have to find an apartment, all that stuff, I mean, you're kind of pretty close. I would say get pre-approved and start looking now. I think that's my opinion. Y'all tell me what you think, but that's what I recommend.
Waiting for Kevin to harness the power of the mullet.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I wouldn't wait at all. I mean, I don't see the value in waiting. This is a common question people have asked for years. Should I wait a little bit longer? Should I wait a bit longer? I mean, if you had asked me this question, like I said, 2 months, 1 month ago, you just cost yourself a lot of money.
It cost his client a lot of money, like 20 grand, because if he would have found that house yesterday, it'd be 20 grand less. Right?
You know what? But it's instant equity if she goes to sell it tomorrow, right? Like, it's,
right.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
I would not wait.
I wouldn't wait. I mean, here's the other thing too. I have a lot of people that say they want to buy new construction. Well, how easy is it to buy a house new construction, gentlemen and lady?
No.
Yeah, you don't.
Nothing. And you got to put your name on a list. It might take 6 months to even like get your name off of that list and get you into a contract. And then you're still going to pay whatever those prices are then. So if there's a new construction that you can get into now, get into it now.
I think you have to evaluate what the opportunity cost is, right? Like if you need to be here, then you need to act. Because as soon as an opportunity comes up, you have to be ready to execute. If you don't need to be here, I can't tell you what it's going to be in 3 years or 4 years. But you're missing out on 3 or 4 years of being in the hottest market in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you be waiting
in the United
for?
States.
What would you be? My question would be for anybody that is in the chat. Like what are the reasons that you would wait? I mean, I can think of like a couple. The ones that pop up on my mind is you're thinking the houses are going to be less expensive. No.
Resources. I think resources is probably someone's biggest need for delay. Like maybe they don't have the credit or they don't have the funds all available, liquid, ready to go. Maybe.
Yeah. If that's the reason, I mean, I understand that wouldn't be elective. And then for me, that's not an elective reason. You just can't afford it. And that's cool. It's not too expensive. You just can't afford it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Lamborghini would be awesome. I just can't afford that thing.
It's going to cost you more, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. I mean, don't put yourself in a bad position, right?
But I wouldn't say don't just rush to get here. People ask me, should I buy a house sight unseen? Should I be putting something under contract without having lived there yet? Like, what are you going to do when you get here? Are you going to rent? And then you're going to renting isn't always throwing away money. I don't want to say that at all because it's definitely not. In many cases, it makes a lot of sense, especially in Austin. It can make sense to rent for a while.
If you're building, it's taking 8 months to build. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, but if you're, spend that money towards your purchase at that point, and it may make sense for you to get something under contract with a good realtor. Like your realtor is going to help you through this. They're going to send you a video of the house, maybe. They're going to point you to the right data. They can't tell you if a neighborhood is going to be good or bad or right for you. So don't expect that.
That question
don't expect that they're going to tell you, this is a great neighborhood for you. No realtor in their right mind would ever say that.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to do a lot of that due diligence. Go to city-data.com if you want to look for more of that type of data. Go to the local police records. They're going to show you the crime reports for the area. So if that's something that concerns you, look at that. But the realtor is going to guide you on the house, the type of house, the price for the house, and helping you secure the right house. That's what your realtor is for. They're not necessarily, although it can be your tour guide for Austin.
Yeah, don't make him your tour guide for Austin, please. Go, Sarah.
I was going to say one other thing to consider that may be, a reason why someone can't buy out here yet that I've had come up is you need to make sure that we can use your income and that when you move here, you're employed here.
Oh yeah.
I've had it come up where people try to get pre-approved and buy out here and their employment didn't transfer. So they weren't like a remote worker. They weren't getting a transfer. So they had no money and it didn't even occur to them because they were making money now in the state they were at, but they weren't set up to move out here. So I can't pre-approve you for a loan if there's no income. So one of the things you need to make sure is that either that you're remote, and if your income is going to change at all, if it's based off of locality or anything like that, you need to make sure what your income will be with a move here, or start looking for a job. So you make sure that you have an offer letter at least, so that I can use for a pre-approval. That's super
a big one.
important.
That's a big one. I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, I don't have a job out there yet." I'm like, I mean, talk to Sarah. Sarah's going to tell you exactly what I'm telling you right now. She can't pre-approve you because you don't have an offer letter. You don't have any of this. You're wasting your time. Find a job, then move out here. All right. So this person has been commenting like crazy trying to get this question answered. So here we go. Buda or Kyle or San Marcos or Wimberley to raise a family. I think all of those areas are beautiful areas. I love all of them. I've said over and over and over on my channel, I think the most underrated places to live in Austin or Austin area is Buda, Kyle. Wimberley is also beautiful. Wimberley actually has very good rated schools. San Marcos is a little bit further, but I think all four of those areas are great areas. Gentlemen, lady, any comments on that one?
I've helped families purchase in all those areas, and and I've never heard complaints. So
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had somebody buy, like just what Sarah said. They never buy in the community and say, darn, I wish I wouldn't have bought here. In fact, people love Buda because it's not that the other places don't, but I really feel like Buda and Kyle have a great small town feel still to them that feels a bit, if you want to be detached from Austin at times when you go home, it can be very detached, but then it's also very accessible to Austin, and even more accessible now because they just punched in that 45 toll extension on the south side of town, so you can actually get to like South Mopac a little bit easier.
45 extension
that cut the commute down massively because now you don't have to go through the 7135 intersection, which can be a nightmare.
You're welcome. Sorry, somebody they said thank you. I mean, I don't think I let Ian chat on that part, but I mean, I don't know. I have a man crush on Dripping Springs. If I didn't have such a big man crush on Dripping Springs, Buda would be my next place. So go ahead, Ian. Sorry.
I think the thing that I want to add is it's something that Kevin said. It is really pretty out in that area, right? So if you're all about nature and hiking and biking and trail systems and stuff, it's hard to go wrong south of the river. So there's 100 acre or 100-mile stretch from Austin to San Antonio past San Marcos that's being developed right now of nature trail. That's a current development that's happening right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Through my neighborhood.
Jeremy, do you ever talk about Big Sky out in Dripping Springs? Does that ever come up on your videos?
I've talked about it. Yeah, Ian and I actually talked about it in a little bit. Nice. Why don't you? Big Sky is one that I think needs a little bit more info. Why don't you? We have some really good comments on here, so quickly go through Big Sky because I think.
I'm just gonna mention we don't. People talk about like affordability in Austin, and I'm with Jeremy. When I moved to Austin, I actually bought a house in Dripping Springs. And I knew nothing about it. I spun a globe and I said, I want to live in Lake Travis. So I started looking at homes in Lake Travis. And then when I realized like the home I wanted in Lake Travis was very expensive relative to what I wanted. And then somebody showed me, my realtor, who was very good, said, hey, take a look at this. Dripping Springs, pretty decent area. There's a nice house similar to what you want. And I fell in love with that area because it's a great area. It's very peaceful, close to town. But Big Sky Ranch is one of the affordable communities in Dripping Springs. In fact, it's the only remaining affordable community there. So I don't know their availability right now, but they do have prices they were in the high 200s, but maybe in the low 300s, even up to 500 right now.
Yeah. Under 5. That's one of the only communities you can get under 5 right now. And the tax rate's not a killer either. I think it's like 2.21 or something like that. I have to double check that.
Not ideal though for a commuter to the north side of town.
Correct. Very correct. All right. Tally, welcome back to the channel. I commented on you earlier. Welcome back again. If you're out of state and need to buy ASAP, can you help us out not buy in a foul area with dangerous streets? Kevin, you brought up something. Ian just looked like he grimaced himself into the back wall.
I was going to say something.
Go Go ahead.
So there's an app called Spot Crime, and it will let you, and it's like visual. It'll show you if somebody got punched in the face or if somebody got ran over by a car. And like it shows you that on. It should be a little GIF or something. But it's very, very clear what kind of crime has happened, whether it's a crime of opportunity or a crime of passion. So if the type of crime, because dangerous is relative, right? Foul is relative too. Jeremy's foul. But so being able to see that on an app or on a website.
So, yeah.
What was that?
I'm gonna sort by crimes of passion now that you told me that.
It's a big deal.
I need some good
It's
reads.
a big deal.
It's not funny. This is not
And
good.
not
the
funny.
county,
No,
the county
it's not
websites,
funny.
the county websites show that too. It's just not as good. It's not as clear.
So this drops back. Sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I'm honest with folks if they get like if it's an area that I've lived in and I know, and I always say defer because I know what's like whatever's important to you, and I always defer to your agent, your realtor. But if someone
You
wants,
can't defer to us. We can't answer that question.
no, like if they want some, like you said, specific data, like with crime data or like something that you can pull, like you have resources that you can send them to. But if they want like the skinny on a certain area and I know it very well, I'll be honest with them and tell them. So
another thing, I will encourage them to go talk to a neighbor.
I encourage people to drive through the neighborhood. If it's
That too,
area, like legitimately, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to be in this area," I'll just say, "Hey, go drive it and tell me what you think." If you still want to look at homes in there, let's go look, right? Because really, as realtors, this is kind of a thing. Really, we can't tell you what area is good or bad. So that's why we give you apps. We tell you to drive areas. Because really then it's discriminatory practices if we're telling you not to be in this area or that area. We can definitely tell you how beautiful an area is and what we like about specific areas, but to say, no, don't live there, is too much crime, or this person's there or that person's there, there's a lot of rules against that, so we can't necessarily answer that question, but we definitely find you help. We could definitely find you help. Definitely. Hold on, let me have a little more bourbon. Hold on. Definitely help you find a great property. Okay, we got a little bit of time left here. We're gonna go like 15 hours, I think, on this thing. So real quick, Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. She made a very good observation earlier, and I do have to bring this up. 2 nights on one stream. Normally it's Eileen night, but Kevin night, we are not brothers. We are not related. We're not even from the same castle. We're different castles, but yes. So, okay. All right. Let's go. Kevin, your mullet is getting talked about heavily by.
Is it really?
There you go. There you go. Buda. Yeah. Kevin's mullet. Love that one.
it's in its own page.
Here you go.
You have a mullet meetup. In Dripping Springs.
Meetup, yeah, it's a thing in Dripping Springs. How much higher are property taxes going to go up over the next few years as well?
Jeremy,
a Brazilian percent.
Yeah, like how much more money are you going to make next year at your job? I don't know. Like,
I mean, specifically, let's be clear, okay? The property tax does not go up as far as your rate. Like your rate is fixed. And your property tax is based on the appreciation values, where Texas is a non-disclosure state. That's total, like thanks to Zillow, they've disclosed pretty much every sales price now. So you've lost your ability now. People have good data, and the appraisal districts are looking at that, even though they're not supposed to. They're looking at that data. So
buying it from CoreLogic and getting sued by
right. Yeah. So your values are going to increase. So your property taxes are going to increase relative to your value. So are they going to go up? Yes. They're going to go up probably at the same rate that your home value is going to increase.
I think if you look at the offer price increase that people are putting in, so if people are putting 20 and 30% over, then the tax appraisal value is going to go up 20 or 30% over. Because that's what everything is being moved to. Now, I don't know how the next few years, but immediately in this year, 2021, that's kind of the going rate to purchase a home.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a homestead, that's what, or if you're an investor, that's what it's going up to. You're not capped at 10.
Here's a good point. I'm going to make that. I've said this several times on the channel. If you are 100% disabled vet, though, you're not paying property taxes.
Very good.
You are
100% disabled.
Yep, 100% disabled. In fact, it's depending on levels, you do get some sort of a break as well. I've seen through the TCAD, verify that, go through TCAD, WCAD, HCAD websites and verify that. But the other thing is that if you're 65 and over, they drop the schools off, so you can file that homestead. You do have the ability to file homestead. Now, look, here's the thing about homesteads. Homesteads, yes, they will cap what you, and a homestead is basically you live in that property. Like Sarah brought this up earlier about trying to circumvent the homestead thing. You live in that property. So you're saying this is my homestead. They will cap it at 10%, right? They'll only raise it 10%. Here's the thing that I've seen though. I've seen the tax districts still raise it 20%, 25%, whatever. They'll raise it whatever the hell they want, right? So what he's saying is they're going to, like Kevin said, they're going off the value. They'll raise it to whatever they want. And then it's up to you to protest your taxes. It's up to you to say, oh, wait, by the way, you raised my taxes too much. And they go, oh, I'm sorry.
You know what else has 0% property taxes? Vegas, 71 and First Street.
Man. Sarah, sorry.
One of the things also people need to pay attention to, though, is when they're looking at homes that they're buying and the property taxes, is if they're buying a home that it does have like a disabled veteran exemption or does have an over 65, and then they're depending on those taxes to stay the same when they're not going to be getting those when they buy the property, because they are going to see a jump. Because like especially over 65, where the value stayed, and then now you're not over 65 and you're buying this house, you're probably going to see a significant jump in what that value will be before your homestead hits the following year. So that's also something you need to keep an eye out for. And
we didn't mention this, and they maybe said this other places before. If you're buying as a homestead, the rate, you get a discount, but also your increase is capped. Mm-hmm. So it can't go more than 10% per year. But if you're buying as an investment property, the sky is the limit. So keep that in mind. If you think you're getting a good deal on an investment property, those taxes are going to catch, like they could increase, your property taxes can increase 20 or 30% depending on the neighborhood and the last time it was properly assessed.
Yep. Ian, say something, Ian.
Sean has a follow-up to his question, clarifying question.
Sean.
So he was referring to the new infrastructure. So he wants to hear about like the Prop A and if things like that are going to continue to happen. I would jump in and immediately say that when you have these big companies and they need the infrastructure, something needs to happen. We can't build the roads fast enough. We can't build the schools fast enough. We can barely build the houses fast enough. I would imagine they're going to do something. How much, how fast? I don't know. But that's what these mud taxes are for when they're building these neighborhoods, part of it. And when
I was told on good authority that the city believes that our current infrastructure generally is good until we get to 2 million people. And we're at 1 million right now.
Well, hold on. Sorry. I don't want to debate you. I really don't want to. But my question is, how current is that number? Because there were probably 1 million people that moved here in the last 4 months. Like not maybe not a full million, but a lot of people. And we can't keep up with the count. That's my concern about it. We just can't keep up with the count. And we're not even talking about the people that are on the street.
Well, they can't even count those people because of, sorry, we can't say that word, but the 2020 thing.
Right. I know. And schools, all the numbers are off. I think we're above that number. I think
you might be right.
And everybody's just at home.
Does anybody have that better number? Maybe we need to figure that out. But okay, so whatever our number is, I was told by the city, by the people that were in development at the domain, actually, that they said that we would be good to 2 million people. And so then they would do the next infrastructure. And when I'm talking about infrastructure, we're talking about improving significantly the main thoroughfares, Mopac,
I-35,
I-35, 71, 180. 183 is actually great right now. when that project is
Not
finished, it's going to open up the whole east side of town. I drove
But
on it the other
everybody's
day.
working from home.
It's so nice. Well, I mean, but the widening of the roads and when they finish that project, it's going to make the east side of town so much cleaner.
We already have 4-lane, 8-lane roads, and they were bad before the situation was going on. And it's,
Well, they built them in the wrong place though. Like the 8-lane with all the toll booths is between Parmer and 45. There's nobody's going there.
Nobody's going. Yeah, nobody's going north. Yeah. Sarah, you look like you had a comment.
Oh, I was just gonna say Austin's always like I've been in okay, let me preface this with I grew up and lived in Austin pretty much my
No,
whole life.
whoa. Everybody take a moment. Original
unicorn, respect.
Austin,
The unicorn is here.
I've been here since I moved from California when I was 3. I hate to say that, but basically my whole life. So
See, she's a transplant. She lied to us.
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to be
Okay,
completely transparent because I know we have some people, some of our clients on here that know that story already. So, what I was gonna say though is that Austin's always been behind infrastructure wise. I feel like it's always like they wait and then they start, and by the time they finish a project, they're like 10 years behind. And so, at least that's been my experience since I've growing up here. And I know for a while it was like, if we don't build it, they won't come, was kind of a mentality for a while until Austin blew up. And I mean, that is a really great, and you saying that from the city, that's a great statistic, and we need to know if we've hit that or not. But do you think that we're ever going to start getting ahead and actually, plan out the city a little bit better and try to get ahead in infrastructure? So,
And not until we have flying cars. Here's a good one, Tally. Thank you for actually asking this question. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it yourself. I've talked about this on the channel a couple times, but you can do it yourself when your tax evaluations come out. What is it, May, June? You can send a little form that say, hey, I don't agree with this, and you send it in. So there's a couple things you can do. You can hire a company like I do. I use Five Stone Tax. There's Texas Pro Tax, other companies. They'll do everything for you. They'll charge you 30% of what they save you. So whatever that number ends up being. You can do it yourself. I know Williamson County and Hayes stopped doing the in-persons. Maybe Williamson didn't, but I know Hayes stopped doing the in-person. So you basically got to call on the phone. My taxes, I think they're too high. And they'll maybe bring it down. If they don't do that and you have to go to a formal hearing, let me explain to you what a formal hearing is. So informal hearings, basically you're going to submit some comps. And I know Ian and Kevin both do this every year. We have clients say, hey, I need to protest my taxes. Can you give me some comps? And this crazy world, I don't even think comps are going to help you. But you take your
baseline.
Yeah, right. So you send over and they'll say, okay, well, yeah, we might have done this, so we'll bring them down this, and you'll agree. If they say no and you go to a formal hearing, is anybody's ever seen the movie Lord of War? When they're selling some Uzis, they walk through and all of a sudden all these people are lined up and get mowed down. That's what doing in a formal hearing is like. You stand there and you're just going to get mowed down. I know that's a gruesome way to say this, but I've done the informal, killed it. Tried to do it a second time, couldn't do anything. So I went to the formal hearing. I'm a realtor. I know these numbers. I know what market value is. I know what appraised value is. I can argue those two like crazy. I sat there with a group of 3 people who had no idea what they were doing and 1 tax consultant. And I said, here's reasons why my house isn't worth this, right? You're basically trying to say your house is worthless. So here's why my house isn't worth this. Here's all the information. All of them went, yeah, no, we agree with you. They look at the tax person goes, no. And they're like, she says no. What the heck did I waste all my time coming here for? Seriously. So don't go to the formal hearing. I mean, you can, but you're just going to get mowed down because it's going to be totally worthless because they're just going to look at the tax person. Nah, I don't agree with that. So that's my story. Sorry, tangent. Elon is already here. He's been spotted in a bar downtown with Joe Rogan. Yeah,
and Dave Chappelle.
I was going to say, how do you not mention Dave Chappelle?
Yeah,
They were together.
What's up, Dinosaur?
All
Yeah.
3 of them were together. Where?
Yeah.
All 3 together, and like 2 of them had COVID. Or
At the JW.
Yeah.
I think it was at Stubbs.
Say that word on my channel, Ian. Come on, man.
I know you saw me; it deflated. I was like, no.
Oh, now I gotta like scrap.
You gotta cut me out.
Yeah, man, you're gone. You're off. Just kidding.
So frustrating.
All right. Any last minute questions? Drop them in. We've been in here almost 2 hours, so we got to get the heck out of here. But let's go through.
I'm having fun.
Come on, Kevin.
You can jump over to my channel and you can join in my stream. We can just talk about this stuff. We can talk about game stonks.
Yeah. I've never mentioned Steiner Ranch. I have, but not on the live stream. Is it worse than Treviso? Well, Steiner Ranch is really not any new build inventory. There is, but I think it's pretty much all sold out. Steiner Ranch is great. Sarah used to live like in that area, right?
I didn't live in Steiner. I used to live in Lake Travis. That's where I grew up.
Lake Travis. See, don't offend her by saying she's from Steiner. So Steiner's a great area. I mean, that's all I can say. Sarah, I recently purchased a to-be-built home. The base price was 18% in the last month, risen 18% last. Can someone use this as appreciation to refinance out of PMI? Fantastic question. Sarah,
that is a great question. So when I would ask you you said recently you purchased the to-be-built. So I would ask when you purchased it. So you have two options in this scenario. So one is definitely you can refinance. And use the newfound appreciation and equity you'll have in the home to get rid of PMI. The other option I would say is whatever lender you used or whoever your servicer is, go back to your servicer and ask them if they will allow you to get a new appraisal showing the increase in equity. And if you did that, if they will go ahead and remove the PMI with your request. That would be less costly for you. That way you're not having to pay to refinance your house and all the closing costs that are associated with that. If they say no, then your next option would be to go ahead and refinance, get a new appraisal with the equity and get that PMI off your loan.
Money. See, Sarah's dropping knowledge. Here's one. Ooh, Kevin, we know this one quite well. What do you know about Martin? Everything. I have like 6 clients.
Jeremy knows a lot.
It's out there, but still Austin and not Dripping Springs or Driftwood. I mean, what questions do you want to know? You can't buy anything in there right now. None of the builders really have anything. They're all on wait lists. So if you do want to get in there, you're going to have to wait a couple months. I have like 3 clients on the wait list. I'm calling the builder reps pretty much daily. I'm sending them donuts. I'm giving them tacos and coffee.
You gotta upgrade to Girl Scout cookies. They're out now.
Yeah, I'm giving them the cocaine that is Girl Scout cookies or the meth that is Girl Scout cookies.
Also real cocaine? Just kidding.
No, I'm not. No.
No.
Oh, man. Okay. Wait, I just have another one. Ian. Carolyn says she loved you earlier, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Ian, you had mentioned there was going to be 2 roads in Georgetown around Cimarron Hills to get towards Leander and Round Rock. When will that start, and what is the ETA for finishing?
Okay, so there are a couple roads that are going on out there. There's one that it looks like it's finished. I was just up there yesterday, and so I'm driving along 35, and I see somebody coming on this on-ramp that wasn't there a couple months ago. So I think it's done. And the way it connects, it goes around, it looks like it's around Cimarron Hills and around the lake, Lake Georgetown. So one of them is done. And they're doing a lot heading straight north, but the other road, I don't know if they'll have it. They're putting a lot in. They're building a lot. And in all of these cities. So Round Rock, they've added a couple other on and off ramps to just kind of help with the congestion. They're doing that over north, like I said, north in Gerald, 183 over in Leander. They're adding a lot over there. They're probably going to have to widen some of those roads too, but that's a whole other conversation.
All right. So Chris was asking, do I see appreciating? Chris, let me tell you something. If you had put something under contract in March or April or May or June, even July, August, September of last year in Parton Ranch, you'd probably have about a $200,000 in equity right now.
Yeah.
I have clients that are closing in the next couple months or next couple weeks, and they're around the 560 range. You cannot buy that same home in that same neighborhood under 650. If not, he's most likely closer to 750. So yeah, so I would get in there because they're barely getting into their bigger lots, and once they have those bigger lots done, you're going to see a whole new price category in there. So yes,
I do have. I was just talking to a client because he's got a contract in High Point in Dripping Springs.
I love High Point, my favorite.
But they're going to be backing out of that deal. So that house will either.
I have clients that call me.
Okay.
I have 3 clients. Yeah. Don't say anything. I have 3 clients for that. Hit me up after.
Okay, cool.
I'll call the rep too. Is it? Okay, I'll ask you which builder it is. All right. I have to get to this. Dinosaur D's been all over the channel all night. Dropped in beer for all of us. I'm running out of bourbon, so I appreciate that. In fact, I've been out for an hour. Dinosaur D, thank you so much. Your commentary has been delightful, so I appreciate that. And then this one I think is for you, Ian, because Carolyn was winking at you earlier, man. She said she loved the heart emoji behind you.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Tell Dinosaur D I'm going to take that $5 and I'm going to invest it in the meme stock of his choice.
Ooh,
$5 and under, and I'll let you know how that goes. Okay.
Yeah, I hear Blockbuster's got some good stocks.
Yeah, there's one left.
I thought there was one.
There's one
In Austin.
Okay.
It's not in Austin. I had a Blockbuster game, y'all. We just played.
Yeah. The fact that majority of home builders in Texas build minimally functioning foundations and are designed to last more than 10 years, 15 years, being falling apart. Yeah, well, I mean, the topography east of I-35 isn't very good. Somebody had asked that question earlier. I mean, you guys might have a different experience with that. But my experience on the east side is you definitely have to be careful, but a lot of it's all over Austin, really. Anybody have something?
So, Kevin, you mentioned Whisper Valley earlier, and there are a couple of places that are getting a little creative with it. They have almost like a sponge malleable foundation. And I thought it was really cool that they created that. And I think as the technology improves, like these builders are kind of forced to create a better product. I think they're learning how to deal with it. So it also depends on when and what location, but I think they're getting better. So I would ask, and some of these slabs, like I was looking at a slab yesterday in Rancho Siena and or 2 days ago in Rancho Siena, that slab was 14 feet tall. That's not going anywhere.
Oh my God. I've seen a lot of those. That's pretty
It's
crazy.
not going anywhere.
This is a good one. Custom.
Yeah.
Another Treviso. I saw this
Good
one.
question.
Treviso versus Dripping Springs. Dripping Springs. There you go. I just saved you hours of searching.
Treviso is a community.
The question is it available?
So.
Like, can you get the? And Treviso is not a city.
Treviso is
Like, very
no,
big.
get in there. Dripping
It may as well be a city.
It may as well.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I would buy in Dripping Springs right now. If you could find a house for $1 million, because for me, Dripping Springs $1 million now is going to be the ceiling. The sky is the limit for a currently $1 million property in Dripping Springs. I think the sky is the limit.
Yeah. Here's crazy. So I have a client, a long time ago client who bought out there for $550 in it's not Goodnight Trail, Legacy Trails. And he's about to list it for $800 and bought it like 3 years ago, maybe.
Oh, that reminds me, I need to reach out to a client. Yeah, that their prices have gone crazy.
Crazy, 800 in there. It's nuts. All right, let's get through a couple more of these. I'd like to know your opinion on Goodnight Ranch. It looks like a great neighborhood. Ian, Kevin, you got perspectives on Goodnight?
I like Goodnight. Do they even have anything available right now?
No.
Oh.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I like so Goodnight in Easton Park. More my folks would gravitate towards Easton Park, but Easton Park is becoming pretty pricey in itself based on the location and the fact that the tax rate there is pretty high. I think Easton Park is one of those 3.1 or 3.2 communities, right?
Yeah, it's
tax rate.
It's 3.17, I think, in Easton Park. It's stupid high.
But it's a city. It's a city in itself.
Yeah, but do they have an HEB?
They will.
Easton Park will. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
but,
going to get that HEB at the corner of 71 and
but Ian said you can't give a rating to any city on a live stream a couple of weeks ago. You can't give any city any credit unless it has an HEB. So guess what, El Paso, you're out.
El Paso.
Just kidding, my wife's from El Paso. And then James Visuals, man, thank you. God, this guy. Hey,
that's key.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Appreciate appreciate that a lot. What's up
on the HEB thing? Just that there's going to be HEB. I have 2 HEBs within 5 minutes of my house, and they're building one 2 minutes within my house. Just so you know, and I already have 2 within 5 minutes of my house. That's how crazy HEBs are.
Yeah, because you're over there by the Y, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about the one with Y?
Oh, yeah.
But they're going to shut down the other one once they get that infrastructure done, though. And that will be cool, too. I don't know if you talked about that, but with the infrastructure stuff, Southwest Austin has lagged because of lack of infrastructure. But once that Oak Hill project is completed, I can see property values that are going up pretty substantially. So if you're looking for a good appreciating property, but people are catching on already. Western Oaks, Village of Western Oaks, infill stuff, Oak Hill is going to go up.
I like what they're building over towards Dripping Springs and down 71-290 near Belterra, because that's growing like crazy. They're building a lot of stuff over there. One of the owners of Gucci, right? They had bought the that property that was old
Trudy's.
Yeah, that had been for sale forever. I'm excited to see what goes there.
That's gonna be awesome.
That's gonna be great. But yeah, that to me, that area is what Lake Travis was about 15, 20 years ago, in my opinion, just seeing the growth. And I'm really excited. I still think that there's a lot of, we've already seen an increase, but I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity out there just from what I've seen Austin area has been over the last.
Dripping, that's where it's at, man.
And you said, this guy says, are there new commercial developments there? Yeah, there will be one right in front of Headwaters. That whole front section in front of Headwaters is actually going to be zoned for new retail. They just haven't started it yet.
Oh, in front of Headwaters.
Yeah.
I like and hate Headwaters at the same time. It just, I like it. It sounds good. The stuff they have there is good. The tax rate I don't like. You can't buy anything in there right now. If you do, like they advertise from the 450s, but you're going to be minimum 650. Right. And the streets are so narrow driving through that neighborhood. You have to like pull over to let somebody come by. Everybody waves. They're really friendly and they wave at each other. So that's really nice. But
true. But Parton, what's the price you said in Parton right now?
It's probably going to be Parton's going to be 650. I have clients probably between there and $1 million.
Man, if my budget was 650 or 750, I'd just be watching like a hawk rimrock pretty closely, because occasionally a home will pop up there in that range, and the dollar I think goes very far and it's easy access. Parton's still Dripping Springs School District though. That feeds into the Sycamore schools. Same for Reunion Ranch is probably another good one. If they ever have resale homes that pop up, that's also pretty close. And also Dripping Springs Sycamore.
Yeah. Well, there's a new, they have a new elementary school they're building that's going to be opening in the fall. They just decided it's going to be Cypress Springs. That is, now they're figuring out the attendance boundaries right now. But it's good. I think Rimrock and Parton and all them are going to end up going to Cypress Springs because it's going to be closer to them. While like High Point Kit people and that area stay at Sycamore. I think that's what they're looking at right now.
Cool. Very cool.
Where was it? I saw something. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, wait, what do I have here? Ian,
you have it up
for you.
Yeah. So, okay.
So love this neighborhood.
This is Rancho Santa Fe, which is different than Santa Rita Ranch.
Santa
Rita Ranch also has large lots. They had 1 acre lots. I don't know if they do today. They don't today, but I don't know if they will in the next phase. So there are a lot of 1 acre size lots up north. But the problem is that generally the build time is it's longer because you're looking at semi-custom to full custom home builds out there. So you're not talking a 6-month build. You're talking 13, 15-month build time if they're taking the time to get all the permitting, because that's backed up right now. They're not like these big production builders that are building 100 houses a day. So, but beautiful, beautiful areas. If you can get a 1 acre lot right now, you're going to pay for it, but it is probably worth it.
Yeah, and actually it's getting to the point where I wouldn't have said this before because there's a lot of inventory home. I actually would start keeping an eye out for lots for sale and potentially building. It's becoming not a bad deal now if you're going to build a home in that price range to do that. And the costly mistake for that, since that's the theme of our deal, and like they had mentioned before, is they will assess, they'll appraise it before it closes, which is going to be at the very end of when it is finished. So if it takes you 18 months, yeah, your assessed value is going to be closer to what the value is at 18 months, not what you think it is today. So keep that in mind if that's your timeline.
I have I was going to say, I do get a lot of requests because of lack of inventory for people interested and wondering to know what financing is to buy a lot and to build custom, or to buy a lot and put a manufactured home on there. That's really common too. And just know that's an entirely different type of loan. It's stuff that I do and I help with. But if you're looking to put a minimum down payment down on a resale or new build, when you do custom, you're looking at a land loan, you're looking at a construction loan and a permanent loan, or a one-time close loan. But either way, you're going to be looking at a minimum of 20% down. Sometimes we could do less than that, but standard is going to be about expecting to do 20% down. So you definitely want to make sure you have the money to be able to go that route.
And it's not like those are abundant. Lots aren't abundant unless you're looking at like Lago Vista, Point Venture area. They're maybe quite a bit more common up there, but
that's because they're landlocked.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, the greatest thing that could ever happen to this city is putting a bridge between Lakeway and Point Venture.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Prices
that would change, or even a ferry.
Yeah.
Some way to get across. You know, a bridge would be much better. Don't get me wrong.
Prices over there are getting pumped right now, though. They're 500 to 700,000, which I didn't think I'd say that ever, but
Yep. Okay, so I just have to point this out for sale by owners. Love you so much. Wow, that's amazing.
Wow. I don't know if did we add value like that? That's nice.
I mean,
I hope no doubt that we add that much value, but
I think for sale by owners, if I'm not mistaken,
the reciprocation of it is incredible.
Right. Yeah. I think they bought or they're building something in Leander, if I'm not mistaken. But they're definitely friends of the channel, so appreciate you. And they said that James Visual is their son.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Generous family.
And then Del Valley becoming the next big housing market. Yes.
They're getting that massive development on. Yeah. Well, they got the Tesla, but they're getting that massive development at 45 and 71. So yes,
it's a big one, and it's still quote unquote affordable, right? Like it's still a low price market.
Yeah. So I would just be careful with Del Valley because the property taxes are higher. Right. And so people want to get into Del Valley because it's cheaper. They hear it's cheaper, and then the property taxes will kind of sneak up on you. So that'd be the one thing I'd say, be careful there if you are going there specifically for price. But yeah, like Kevin said, developing out there like crazy. There's a lot going on out there. You're right next to the airport. So if you're a commuter, right, where you want to be close to the airport, it's a great spot for you. And then Kevin, there's a mention about your mullet getting a haircut.
Not gonna happen, bro. Is this not a haircut enough for you? Look at this.
I mean, like that's
business
what I love
in the front,
Kevin.
party in the back.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, so let's see. Let's get a couple more of these. Sarah's got children to get back to. So do I. Love listening, and even though I'm moving from Cali to Houston, I'm sorry, and have no interest in Austin, but still good stuff. Katie needs to do more live streams. So there is a push to have Katie as a regular on my channel. In fact, we've talked about creating our own live stream, Katie Day. We're going to name it Night and Day. She thinks we should name it Day and Night. I don't know.
Day and night.
Day and night. All right. All right. So we're at the 2-hour mark. As we know, 2 hours is about as much as I can do, especially if I've had too much bourbon. But tonight,
your cup is empty.
I'm doing good.
I mean, can we just give these people props for staying around as long as a feature film?
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
They could be watching a Marvel movie right now.
Yeah. They're here watching Kevin's mullet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. He slicked it back right now, though. So
I was putting it in a ponytail.
You can do it. All right. So Do me a favor. If you're watching this and you have more questions, Kevin, Ian, Sarah, pay attention. I will try to tag you in different comments. Please make sure that you drop comments on here, and we will pay attention to those and try to answer some of those questions about cities and things and areas. So even though, you know, you might not have got your question answered on here, put it on the playback. I'll text Kevin if I have to, or I'll go over to his house and pin him down and make him write a response. Sarah, she's so wonderful. She do it. Ian's just awesome.
We'll have our cars drive to each other with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Model Y, go to Ian's house. There you go. All right. Thanks, guys, so much. We appreciate you. Have an amazing day, and we will catch you on the next live stream. And everyone that donated to the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next one.